Hi everyone, it's me again, Kirsty, and I can't believe this is my last monthly setup video that I have filmed for this year. There will be new videos coming up soon for the next year and everything, but for now and for 2022, this is actually my last setup, and I'm really happy that I went through with it and uploaded a video every single month this year. Thank you so much for being here and for being part of my journey here on YouTube. So for December, I wanted something fairly simple just because Christmas is a little stressful. There's always so much going on in December that I just wanted something chill and cozy to set up, and something where I didn't have to think too much, where I didn't have to wait long for watercolor to dry and stuff. So my idea for this year was to draw little presents on craft paper for December. I always draw Christmas cards myself for the most part, and last year I had this one design for my husband's Christmas card, and I enjoyed the look of it so much that I thought it would be cool to make a theme out of it. So the main idea was to play with the nice contrast that a white gel pen has on craft paper in the background, and I just cut together all the correct sizes for the different pieces of paper that I needed for my setups beforehand, and I could just draw away while filming. And essentially all I did was to, draw little presents. It's just a little box in different sizes. I have a couple of very tiny little ones in the middle to fill up the space, and I added these little loops at the top as little bows. Sometimes I added a lot of loops so that it has a little more variation to it and not every bow looks exactly the same. And then I just had fun with whatever design came into my mind for each individual one. So sometimes, and especially the smaller ones, I just filled in complete white. And then with others I did little zigzags. I think my favorite one was just very simple lines. You can see one of those at the top right now. For whatever reason, they just look super cute, even though they are the most easy ones to put together. And then there's the very typical ones where you have the cross signifying where the ribbon goes. And yeah, for every single one, I try to come up with something. There's little circles that are filled in and circles that aren't filled in. There are different zigzags and cross-hatching and all that jazz. It was really calming to have my little candle on the side and just draw some little presents. I feel like this one present in the middle of the cover page turned out a little too big just because the bow was very out there, but oh well. For a font, I used a very simple lettering again, just because I couldn't be bothered to take too much time on this. And I just used capital letters and wrote out December in German again, because that's my mother tongue. So it's December and has a Z instead of a C. That's on purpose. It's not a spelling mistake. And yeah, I used this Tombow dual brush pen that I will link in the description box that I felt was the most similar color to the craft paper. I think it's some sort of ochre brownish something. I can't explain. I'm not good with colors, even though I'm a woman. But it's just the color that I had on hand that I felt matched the whole setup best. For my calendar spread, I made a big calendar where I have lots of space on the right, so I moved the calendar very far to the left, and I have Monday through Friday on one page and then Saturday and Sunday on the right. And used the remaining space to fill it with craft paper and little presents. And as you can see, I always just figured out where to put new presents as I went. And I had the Christmas card from my husband that I mentioned from last year. So I used that as a reference for different ideas on what patterns I could use. And I just, as I said, I just went with it. And most of the time I always went back to just using vertical lines or horizontal lines, or this little zigzag that reminds me of how drums look in comics sometimes. I think it's a really cool theme to make, because it's really just little boxes, and in the end it still looks very cool and intricate, even though it was so fast and simple to set it up. For my tracker spread, I did the exact same layout that I did last month. I moved my habits trackers to the very right of the left page so that I had enough space for some more decoration on the left. And to track what habit I did on what day, I used these outlines of little calendars where every box space represents one day of the month. And when I did a certain habit, I will add a little dot on that specific day. And then my sleep and mood tracker look the same every single month, with the little dotted line in my sleep tracker to show me where exactly I would preferably like to go to bed and when I would like to get up. So that's like my ideal. And then just my 5 little emojis for my mood. And then again, I had my craft paper piece already cut out and doodled away with all the little presents. If you've been here for a while, then you might know that I always do close-ups of the drawings that I did and from the whole spread in the end, so that you can see a little better what I actually did. And it might be especially useful for this one. See if there's any design that you especially like and that you would like to recreate. I did speed up very much of the process because, as I mentioned, it's very repetitive and it's essentially just little boxes, and many of them repeat themselves again and again just because I don't have ideas for 50, 60 plus little patterns. But maybe there's one or the other that you enjoy and that you would like to recreate. My notes page is the only one where I had something on both pages, and I wanted a little header, sort of. And instead of drawing a border around everything as I usually do, I thought it would be cool to tie together the page by 2 little headers on the top. And yeah, I repeated many of the little patterns that I've had before, but also tried to come up with some new ones, and essentially it's the same thing on every single page for this month. I was not sure where to add my heading, so I did not forget. I purposefully didn't write the title notes anywhere just yet because I wasn't sure where to put it. In the meantime, I've added the title right underneath instead of on top of the presents because I didn't want to destroy what I had drawn. So it's on the left corner, right at the top, but right beneath the little craft paper piece. Maybe I can add a photo. Ugh, I should probably do that. And that is already my last spread, which essentially isn't a spread but a page that I'm setting up. You know the drill. This is my go-to weekly overview with a tiny calendar as an overview on what week we are currently on and a space for every day of the week to write down my tasks. For my weekly tasks that aren't designated to a day, I used my Tombow dual brush pen to mark every other line, and I had this very tiny little craft paper piece where I added some little presents. Now, as you may remember from my previous journal setups for the whole year for 2022, in January and in July I started new journals this year, and I did this spread that's called In My Journal, where I had the space for a little index, sort of, where I add little thumbnails of all the themes that I did this year. And I thought it would be cool to show you how they turned out, because I'm really happy with how they turned out, and it kind of summarizes all the things that I have shown you on my channel this year and how it's grown and where I've come from with my first spreads that I actually filmed. And I also wanted to show you how I organize all of my journals once they are completely filled in, because I use my label maker, as you can see, to mark the dates when I use that journal, and I add these to the spines of my notebooks. I just started doing this very recently, as I got my label maker a year ago or something, and I just really love how clean it makes everything look. And by the way, these are only my bullet journals. I have so many more diaries and I don't even know where to put them. The struggle of writing diary regularly. But now, here's the final flip through of my December setup. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much again for supporting my channel and for all of your kind comments, and I wish you all a very happy Christmas and hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye!